Hello everyone. A few months ago, me and Tim400 made the smallest 4x4 glass door at only 480 blocks. At the time it was quite small, however, since then there's been quite a bit of development with more minecart placements and putting minecarts in even weirder places, and together me, Bonopo, and RedsXD were able to take over 120 blocks off the size and make this a 4x4 seamless glass that's only 360 blocks total. So you can take a look at it and see how it works. Yeah. So the layout's mostly similar, however, both the redstone block extenders have been replaced by these detector rails, which will detect. I didn't get stuck, there's just a bit of a delay there, which will detect these minecarts here, which are stuck within the wiring here and the quad. These minecarts are placed in such a way that they're able to both activate these detector rails without snapping to them from them being placed under the minecart. Additionally, there's a total of 12 minecarts in this door, including some very annoying ones, like this one right here stuck in this hopper here, as well as a clipped one here in this hopper. This is the door where pretty much all my standards for entities and trying to make it easy to build went out the window. Anyways, we can move on to the tutorial now. So to build this, we'll first start out with our layout. For that, you'll need sticky piston, normal piston, some door block, as well as your glass here. I'll come 2 blocks over from the side here, and place a layer of 4 normal pistons facing up like that, and 4 sticky pistons facing down on top, which will act as our piston worm. We'll also place 1 piston here, and 1 more piston here, both 1 block from the edge of the door, and we're going to push over our bottom row of pistons here, just like that. And this is for a little trick I'll show later. Then put a row of our door blocks on top, and a 4x4 area of our glass. After that, we'll put 4 more of our door blocks. This will be our floor level, and we can build the rest of our frame here. Then we can build our quad extender on top. Just like that. So just 4 pistons facing down. And then 2 blocks above that we have 1 more set of 4 normal pistons facing down. And finally we have here 2 pistons and a detector rail on top, right there. And 1 more right here, just like that. And that is our layout. So we'll first start by building our quad circuit. This is probably the easiest part of the door, besides that 1 minecart. And this was completely done by Reds. So we'll start by having a input button right there. And it can be a stone button. Then we'll have behind here, we'll have 3 redstone dust here, and it'll go into a block here. This will power a top row of pistons like that. From that we'll have a torch and a hopper dropper here. We want to put the item in the hopper, and then getting an output from the dropper of this, we'll have a comparator on a half slab, like that, which will go into a simple monostable like that, and another redstone on a slab here. Just go into a block and a repeater right here. We'll power this block as well as our redstone under here, which will power this top line. This will also update a burnout here, which will power this lower line of redstone as well. We're going to have a updater piston right here. And from that, we're also going to have a piston right here, which will be powered by this dust, powered by this torch, with a redstone block on it. This will power that dust right there, power a monostable here, and a repeater here, which will power this line of redstone here. So that's actually most of our quad circuit done. So I power it, you'll see it'll extend out here when we can use our side pistons to power the bottom row of pistons. Then we'll do it again and it should fully retract just like that. So that is our entire quad circuit done. Now, in order to power our top circuit again, we have a falling edge monostable here, which is what this minecart cobweb thing and hopper dropper here is for. But the reason why we have this minecart up here is that we want to shorten the length of the delay, because on closing we have to wait for the entire quad to finish before we run closing, and so the longer this quad takes, the more delay we'd have to add to the bottom. So by using this minecart we can shorten delay, making it possible to fit enough delay in the bottom for this thing to work. And so this minecart here, the way we're going to do it is, well, first we can build our hopper dropper right here, but you're going to want to place 2 rails right here and the cobweb on top of the rail, just like that. Then I like using a furnace minecart since you can't get in. You just want to get a comparator here, and what you're going to do is you're going to place this furnace minecart here and it'll slowly move down, and when this corner edge here touches the ground, it'll snap back up like that, is when you want to quickly break the rail and replace it with the comparator. So I didn't get it that time. Once again, when this corner here touches the ground, that's when you want to do it. And you have to be quite quick with it. Yep, just like that. And you want to make sure that at least a bit of it is stuck in the hopper here. And so now it's stuck in this hopper here. However, we still need to have it over the minecart, which will be in this block here. And so we have to push it over. But if we push it over, there's no way we can push it without breaking this comparator here. And so the way we do instead is we place another comparator here, and we'll place a fence here to push it against. And so now when we push this minecart over, it'll still be on top of a block with the right height, so we can easily place the comparator back after we've pushed it. So you just want to push it over like that, break the piston, and then it'll be stuck right in here, just how we want it. Then we can place our comparator back and break the one here. Then we can break that block and put the redstone back and break the cobweb and fence, and that is this minecart here done. Now to build the rest, we're gonna first start by, this has to be a normal piston. You have to zero tick this piston here, which will pull our other minecart up. We have to zero tick it back into its position. So you can just place make sure this is a sticky piston here, and just place a button on the side of it, and that'll give a zero tick pulse. You don't want to place a button on the back, since it'll give a normal 1 second pulse. And now, once again, we can't place, you can hear me right clicking, we can't place a fence here, so we have to zero tick that block in as well. Place another piston here, and put the fence gate, or the fence on the end. And just give it a zero tick pulse, and that'll push it in. And this has to be a slab here. Now we can push our other minecart in right against that fence, then remove it and the rail, and we can place our pressure plate. This can be a wooden pressure plate as well, but I just like the gold ones better. And after that, we just have to place one non-stackable item inside and a cobweb right there. So now this will be our entire quad circuit. So see, it'll extend, and after a bit it'll retract the quad like that. Now to build the rest of it. Now the next thing we have to build is our 2 minecart circuits down there to power the bottom pistons. And so this is going to be powered by 4-tick repeater taking an output from this line right here, which goes into a piston in the redstone block, which will power these 2 pistons here. That's one. Before I forget, you're also going to need to put a movable block right behind this piston here, so this one doesn't push everything over. And then we also have another piston in the block here. This will be updated by these pistons here, which will extend down here and create a burnout here, which will create a 1-tick pulse to this piston right here with a redstone block, which will power our pistons on the other side. And so we use the line here, which is usually used for closing, to send a signal across. So I'll make sure that this block here is a slab, and we'll have a comparator here, which will go up into a block with a redstone on top. That redstone will power a torch, which will power another redstone here. Power that block there with a torch on top, which will power these 2 pistons. And that should power both sides of the pistons here, so we can just take a look. That should extend them both, like that. And then on closing, it won't do anything. Okay, so now we have to place our minecarts in here, which power our detector rails for the bottom pistons. And so there's 6 minecarts total. We have 1 down here on each side. You can't see it because it's in both blocks here. I can see a bit of a corner of it up here. And this one will hold our main minecart here, which powers our detector rail, and it holds at the right height so it can power it but won't snap to the detector rail. Then we have 1 more minecart up here, which will hold this minecart down against this top block here, so it doesn't get pulled up when the quad retracts and be pulled above this block and sit on it. And so to place it, we're going to need to remove, first let's remove this burnout right here. And we want to remove the blocks on these sides here, so everything from this layer down, and the pistons as well. And we want to remove this repeater and block here, these rails, and also we want to remove these 2 pistons so they don't accidentally spam and break something. Now you want to get a fence post, a rail, and once again I'm going to use furnace minecarts. And so the first minecart here, we want to place a rail on the side of the door frame here, and then a fence right above the edge of the door. So now we're going to place a minecart here on top of the side of the door and push it against this fence post here, so it's just barely sitting on top of the end of the door. So that's going to be our first minecart. Then our second one, right on top of the side of the door, we're going to place a fence gate here underneath the quad extender, and the rail underneath here. And you place a second minecart on it and push it against there. Now we can remove those 2 blocks in our fence. So this will be our main minecart, and so you can see it's held up by the corner of this first one here. Then you can place our last minecart, which is just a standard one. You don't need to do any alignment with it. It's just right here next to this wiring. You can break the block right there. That'll be our minecart stack. So we can just do the same thing for the other side. So push 1 against a fence gate right here. Then put a fence right there, rail here, and push our second minecart like that. Then our last one, you can just place it and drop it down like that. So those are our minecarts. So now we just have to replace everything that we broke. So the way that we're going to do that is with 0 ticking the blocks in. So you can just put a piston here, which will push the block in, and just place a button on the side, and it'll 0 tick it in so it won't disturb anything. And the same thing right here. Make sure that you don't touch the minecarts at all and push them around. That can move them so they won't work. So then we can do the same thing down here. If zero ticking our blocks back in, like that. And now we can place our wiring down here. Now before you place anything up here, first I'm gonna place this burnout here. And as soon as the burnout burns out, you want to place this redstone here so you don't activate this burnout a second time. Then you can place your redstone here, because that will screw up the pistons even more. Now we just have to replace our pistons right there. We can replace our pistons here. And now these pistons here can be once again zero ticked in. Make sure you don't touch the minecarts again. So you can zero tick this piston as well. And now you can retract these blocks back in using those pistons. Now finally we have this block here. So once again we can just zero tick it like that, and you can place your repeater here. So you see that you can see just a faint hitbox here of the redstone, so we know that we've placed that back. And it looks like we've done everything. Actually, I forgot, we need to place our pistons here back, and our detector rail on both sides. So that should be the entire top done, and the part that powers the pistons right here, or here. So we can just test it now. You see it extends perfectly fine, and it fully retracts. So we can take one more look at it. You see it extends and pushes everything down to the floor level, and the entire quad circuit will retract. Right. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the bottom. So the first thing we need to do is, when the thing extends, is we have to push this whole line of blocks over. This is used for the bottom since we don't have a row of redstone blocks here. And so the way we do this is we just have a falling edge right here. So we have a piston facing down with a redstone block directly here under this block here and powered by this dust line as well. Then we also have a normal piston facing up next to this redstone block. Then one more sticky piston with a redstone block facing down, which is bud powered by this redstone block here, and that'll power this dust. If I just remove this dust right here on the slab, you'll see that when we deactivate this piston here, it'll quickly pulse this piston right there. So that's the first part. And now for the closing, we need to build a toggle, and we use this space right here for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is activate this torch here so we can take out this stuff briefly. And because we're going to build first a toggle right here. So we want to place, before we do that, we actually have one minecart clip to do. So you want to place a hopper right there, diagonal to this door block. And this is where we're going to clip our minecart in. So I'm going to place two rails like that, and a fence gate here. And take a chest minecart, and what you want to do is you want to place this minecart, then quickly break the rail right after. So make sure that you're looking at the rail hitbox. A bit too quick there. You want to place the minecart and then break it immediately. Just like that. And so now our minecart's stuck inside the hopper. And now we can take out this block below the minecart. Make sure that you keep the fence gate here. What you do is you're going to take a soul sand block and place it right beneath the hopper minecart and place a piston beneath it and push the minecart up. And so now it's stuck in this hopper block here, and we can still place a redstone dust underneath it. So now we can replace before that we're going to place one more minecart, which is right here. And forgot to place the hopper beneath it. we have a hopper right here, and we'll place one minecart here. Then we'll just zero tick a block back into it. Now we can place our torch back here, our dust here, and now we can remove this lever. So this block, so here we're gonna have two hoppers facing up, just like that, and this hopper or this drop or two droppers facing up, and this top dropper will put an item up into this minecart here, which will then put this item into this hopper, and we'll go down through here, and it'll eventually put an item into this hopper right here. And you might be wondering why we can't just put our dropper facing this way and have it put an item back into here. And it's because we need a bit more delay before activating the bottom, and so that this redstone here gets activated for a bit, so it'll lock the item in this hopper for a while before it can proceed through the loop. So we're gonna have one more minecart right here, and the reason why we have that is because we'll have a slab on top. And that will have a redstone here. And and so then in this hopper here, we're just gonna have two non-stackable items in it. And the reason why we have to have this part here, even though we have a comparator here which filters out 1 ticks, is that with the setup we use, in some locations our torch can give some weird 1 tick pulses which will actually power this comparator here. But putting this part in here, which will filter out any pulses with too low of a signal strength, will eliminate that problem. So from this hopper here, we're gonna have a dropper right there and one more dropper facing up, which will put the items back into this bottom dropper. We want to place our item here up in top dropper to power our toggle. And that's again output from the toggle. We'll have a comparator right here which will power this dust and this piston underneath it, and we'll have our final minecart right here. So we'll have a fence post right here, and we can push our minecart against it like that. Then we can remove these blocks, and on top of this block we'll have a pressure plate as well as a cobweb here, and this will create some more delay for the bottom. So you see when we power and depower this piston, it'll lift up the minecart off the pressure plate before it powers it again. And this will power this torch here on top of or attached to the block, which will power a repeater here and power our bottom row of blocks. And so what this does is when we activate this, first this piston here will extend, pushing all the blocks over, but before it's done pushing, this line of pistons here will activate, but they can't they'll realize they can't push because the blocks underneath them are still moving. But once these blocks here finally get to their position, the bottom will always update first. And so if I just power it here, you'll see it'll push the bottom ones up even though the top pistons are technically being powered first. And this is completely consistent. And it's how we set up the door, avoiding using a line of redstone blocks down here. So now from that, our repeater will update a burnout right here, which will power this line, and we'll just have a redstone here and a slab here which will power our top line. And then finally we'll have a block here which will depower this line for the bottom of the closing. So you'll see it'll power a bit like that, and then once our minecart gets back down and depowers this repeater here, it'll do the rest of the closing circuit. So that should be our entire door done, so you can test it right now. So it looks like it was on its closing part there. So it'll pause a bit, waiting for that minecart to return down. And just like that, it'll finish its closing. Now this should be opening. Yep, it should open just like that. So we can place our door blocks around here. And that should be our entire door done. Yep, and that's about it. Thanks for watching.